Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
This podcast is brought to you by the Jefferson County Department of Health. Hello, everyone. This is Jarvis Escott for What's Happening Birmingham. Today, I got the honor and pleasure of being with Haley Medved Kendrick with the Bronze Valley Accelerator program. Haley, good morning.
Good morning. How's it going?
Great. Thank you for coming on the podcast today. I want to bring her on. This great organization here in Birmingham is helping a lot of early stage startups. And me going on the website, a lot of familiar names here that I didn't even know. Well, I knew of the companies, but I didn't know they were associated with your organization. So first time on the podcast, just give us a little quick bio before we start.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. I appreciate your time and flexibility with me today. My name's Haley. I am a Birmingham area native and have been working in the economic development sector here for, 4 or 5 years now. And in the past year and a half or so, I've been doing that with Bronze Valley Accelerator, which is a partnership between Bronze Valley and Generator, which I'm sure we'll talk a ton more about. Before that, I was with Innovate Birmingham doing workforce development, so software development boot camps and coding boot camps here in town. And then was at UAB before that. So that's a little about me.
So how did you all come about this organization with the Bronze Valley?
Yeah. So Bronze Valley launched about 3 years ago with the focus on filling a gap in our ecosystem here in Birmingham, but it's also a gap across the country that underrepresented founders of startups have limited access to capital. So we know that a very small percentage of all the investment dollars in our country and our community are going to the, companies with very similar founders that tend to be white and male. And so we know that that is not representative of the talent and entrepreneurship in our community. So Bronze Valley launched to solve that gap. So we started investing 2018, and our first investment was one of those companies that may be familiar to you and many others. Mixtros was our first investment. And we have since grown to, don't quote me on this, I've lost count because we're moving so quickly, I believe 13 companies that we've invested in. And last year expanded from really our core focus on investing to also include programming such as the accelerator, which is when I joined the team. So that's really one of several different ways that we're continuing to connect with companies and add value outside of just investment. And we have a number of other cool things that we're hoping to roll out in the new year as well.
So this accelerator program, from what I'm seeing on the website, is a 7-week program.
Yeah. So if you may have heard of any of the other generator programs, Generator's growing in Alabama pretty quickly. In each of our programs has a local partner. So the Bronze Valley Accelerator is a partnership between Generator and Bronze Valley. And so in the other generator terminology, it's called a G beta program, which is considered a pre-accelerator. It's part-time. It's free. We don't take any equity in the companies. We don't charge any fees. And the goal of the program is to really help companies prepare for growth and identifying their next step. Usually that would probably look like raising a round of money from venture capital firms or other kind of investors that are focused on high growth startups. But it could also mean that they decide that that isn't the path for them and want to go a different route. And so I think where we really are strong with the accelerators, helping companies identify what that next step is for them and prepare to get there. And so we try to do that really quickly in 7 weeks, part-time. So we do a handful of meetings a week and are helping them move the needle. And then the program wraps up with pitches to investors. So we connect each of the participants with about 20 to 30 investors at the final week of the program.
So what stage do these companies have to be at? I know I said early stage, but what stage they have to be when they come to you all?
Great question. Early stage can mean a lot of things depending on who you talk to. So we have actually worked with quite a wide range of stages, everything from a company that has just really got past the idea stage and created some minimal viable product. And sometimes that can be, you know, a low code or no code app that they've built with a tool like Bubble, or it could be a physical product. Like we had someone that came through that had made a like a planner, you know, like a physical planner or agenda, and was working on building the software component of the planning software. And so was kind of in that transitional space. Those are some of the early stages. And then we've had everything up to a company that's been around for a couple years in its current form and was bringing in tens of thousands each month. And so it can be all over the place. One of the things that helps us do that is we intentionally keep the cohorts small with capping it at 5 companies. And this allows us to be really tailored with when we might have one company that's very early in idea stage or just past idea stage, and one that has been, you know, growing, moving, bringing in revenue, and really allow them to get their specialized support that they need through that, but then also share their insights with one another based on the experience and diversity in that experience that they've had.
What kind of commitment do you all require from the companies when they enter into you all's program?
Yeah, it's one of those, I feel like this is kind of a cheesy response, but it's you get out what you put into it. But what the programming looks like, kind of the minimum expectations are, each company that is selected has a meeting with our team twice a week. So that's 2 1-hour kind of deep dive meetings where we're getting into how can we help them grow? How can we reach out to potential customers? How can we help them develop their pitch deck and other materials for investors or customers? And then once a week, we also have an opportunity for them to meet potential mentors. We call that our mentor swarm. So that's another hour and a half each week. And then we do a lunch and learn once a week as well. So it comes out to about 5 hours of time that we expect them to be present in meetings with us. And then outside of that, we usually have a mix of maybe 60% of the companies that we select. The people are already working full-time on their business. So, you know, everything that we're doing hopefully is pushing them toward what they're working on for their business. So that kind of fits in. If people are doing this on top of an additional full-time role or, you know, whatever else they're juggling, I ask people usually to commit another 5 hours outside of those meetings. So a total of about 10 a week to just make sure they're pushing forward and making progress on the goals that we set and can really get the most out of the program.
So, like the tech sector, I guess I want to go back to almost like the venture capital sector here in Birmingham. A lot of people would think, well, you know, when it comes to that, we got to go to Austin and we have to go to like out there the West Coast, but it's actually here in Birmingham.
Yeah, we are fortunate to have some really thoughtful and active investors and venture capital firms here in town. And I think what we're doing at Bronze Valley is particularly important, both because of our mission focus on underrepresented founders and a priority of identifying talent in regions of the country that may not have a lot of visibility for that. So for those very same reasons you said, people think of Austin or Boston or San Francisco. And we have seen that as we've been recruiting companies, which we primarily do in Alabama and Georgia, but we'll look all over the country, there are a lot of really interesting, fascinating, potentially transformative businesses and innovations that people are developing in places like Jackson, Mississippi, or Huntsville, Alabama, or South Carolina. We had someone in our last program from South Carolina. And I think, you know, it was already a trend before COVID, but now with the forced move to virtual, we've been able to bridge those barriers that may have kept us from knowing and connecting with some of these other communities. And I think we really hope to grow that in Alabama and beyond.
So COVID didn't affect as far as people want to invest more into these type of companies?
I think it's been a mix. So there have been, if you look at some of the recent news in the industry, has just been a surge in investment capital going into early stage companies. I think, it's really picked up in the last couple of years. I can't say for certain, what role COVID played in that, if it would have been even greater without that. But I think what it has done is where before investors in Austin or San Francisco or wherever were primarily identifying companies within their own networks and their communities. Now, when they're not able to do that, they, throw a wider net, looking online and elsewhere are more likely to be able to see these companies in Birmingham and Nashville and, Little Rock, wherever that may be. And so it's allowed us to connect more where that wouldn't have happened so much before. So we're definitely seeing a lot more activity in the Southeast in general. With the surge in capital moving, it's just harder for investors to get in on a deal with a company at, that's really booming and really, popular out in the coast. And so they're looking to get connected with companies earlier stage and in places that other people aren't looking, like here in the South.
So besides like access to venture capital, what do you feel like some of these minority and female companies, what other challenges do you feel like they face as well? Trying to get through the early stages.
Yeah, that capital is a big one that most people are most familiar with. I think others that I see pretty regularly and hear from founders a lot. One is kind of just one I happen to see a lot with a lot of companies I talk to is building that early team. It's a challenge regardless. I know you probably hear all of the challenges with talent in the last several years, but particularly now. But then when we're thinking about, like a co-founder type relationship, someone you can really lean on to shoulder the real brunt of growing your business, it's hard to find that. And founders of color and female founders are more likely to be solo founders. And so I think that comes with a number of different impacts down the road. If investors usually don't invest in solo founders or have other, concerns about a solo founder, not having that core team early on can be a challenge. And so that's something I think about a lot of. Sad to say I haven't found any great solutions, but would love to connect with anyone that's thinking about that. And the other one that is probably the most common thing that I hear from founders is connection to customers. And so a lot of the companies we work with, and tends to be kind of a focus area of ours, is B2B business. So businesses that are selling to businesses. And so, reaching that customer can look very different than what might be social media marketing or some of these things where you're reaching individual consumers specifically. So how do we get business with the, State Department of Technology? I don't know what it would be, whatever their particular, industry is, or the local utilities events office or whatever that is. So all across the board, there's, so many different needs for customer engagement, and really figuring out how we can leverage our networks to do that is something that we're hoping to push toward as well, because that's another big challenge that we hear quite a bit.
Well, one thing I see that your program is doing is matching up the mentors.
Yeah.
With the companies.
Yeah, that is something that is a core part of our accelerator, being mentor driven. In our approach to that, you'll see everyone has a different approach for good reasons, but ours is that we don't know who's going to be the most effective connection for you. So what we do is make a lot of intros. So over the course of the program, we introduce our founders to about 30 to 40 different potential mentors. One, they're getting a ton of different perspectives and feedback, which is just super valuable, even though some may be contradictory and you have to take it all with a grain of salt. You're getting a lot of perspectives on your business. And two, then it's opening the door to a lot of different potential conversations, both with those, 30 to 40 mentors, but also their networks as well. So we've seen a lot of positive feedback so far from both the participants and the mentors on the connections that we're able to make there, and as well as just the relationships between the companies themselves and even between the mentors themselves. Just making these connections is really, I think, a value that we can bring is pulling the right people together and seeing what some of that serendipitous connection happens.
So after the program, what type of support do you all give to the companies?
Yeah. I tell the companies, the founders, that they never get rid of us. We are always checking in. The short answer is they are always in our alumni network, and we will be supportive in any way that we can, provided that they just are communicating with us and tell us how we can help. Some of the concrete ways they do that is we have some built-in programming that continues beyond the program. So for instance, we do ongoing investor connections. So this quarter, we're doing a we call it lightning rounds, where any alumni in our network that is raising a Series A round of funding right now can be matched up with investors in our network, and we coordinate those one-on-one meetings. So we do something like that on a quarterly basis, as well as we have conferences in different industry sectors that we do the same investor or customer intros and matching. And in addition to that, what we try to do, and again, to the extent that the companies are interested and it's providing value to them, is continue to meet with them on a monthly basis to check in and see how we can help, make intros, give feedback, that sort of thing. And so that's some of the core follow-up we do. And then in addition to that, Bronze Valley, on top of just the accelerator component, we have a technical assistance program where some of the mentors in our network who are industry experts in particular areas are available to work with our alumni more in depth, that Bronze Valley has supported to cover that at no cost to the company. So that's some ongoing technical support that we have made available specifically to those companies after the program.
Okay, so do you have two more questions I got real quick? Do you have any upcoming events? I know any Lunch and Learn series coming up?
Yeah, we just wrapped up our fall program, and with the holidays, we don't have any big things coming up the next couple of weeks, but our next accelerator starts in March, and we're recruiting now for that. So applications are open on our website, and we'll definitely be doing Lunch and Learns as that program launches in March. We will probably have some information sessions and some kind of additional bonus Lunch and Learns leading up to that in February, but I don't have anything nailed down just yet, but stay tuned.
Okay. And lastly, what I wanted to do, since we're doing a phone interview, I was going to ask you this probably in person, is like, I'm on your website. I want to just do a shout out to a couple of the companies that you all got listed on the website.
Yeah.
And so, of course, I mentioned Miss Tross, Fledging, Employee Cycle, Baby Palooza, Junico, I hope I pronounced that name right.
Yeah,
People Joy, Smart Alto, Productions.com, Essentiate, I hope I pronounced that one right. Upkeep, Wild Wonder, Lily, R&B. Anything you want to add about any of those companies before we go?
Yeah, so I would just encourage everyone to check them out. There's some companies doing really cool things. As I mentioned, a lot are doing B2B type work. So their customers are primarily businesses, but a couple that I can mention that may be relevant to some listeners. They have some interesting things that you can go to their websites and buy right now. One is Fledging. Many of you may know just because they've been in the Birmingham market for quite a while and make tech products, and they just released their Spruce charger, which is a great little desktop charger that you can charge your phone and computer and whatever else all with one thing on your desk instead of a million cords like me. Look, it's a great Christmas gift. I'm looking at giving it to a couple folks. And Wild Wonder, which is one of our more recent investments, is a fermented health beverage. So if you are familiar with kombucha, it's like a kombucha product, but honestly, it tastes better. And she's got some great flavors, Rose of the founder. And you can order those from her website too. So those are some really cool ones. And then others that have components that may be relevant. We have Acclinate, which they went through our first accelerator, and they are in creating a platform and a community to diversify clinical trials. So as you know, the most of the clinical trials historically done in the US are done with a very limited population, again, primarily of white men, and many drugs and other medical treatments perform differently with different people. So they're helping the research that's done be more representative, so we know it's effective. And they have a community of people who are engaged in learning about their health and making informed health decisions, called Now Included, that you can join. And lastly, another one that was in our first accelerator program is Baby Palooza. And so Baby Palooza has been around for a number of years, doing events focused on parenthood and the transition through pregnancy and into parenthood. And she has just started live events again, and also has some hybrid and virtual events for new and expecting parents to learn about all the things that will be coming up as they transition into parenthood or move through pregnancy and parenthood, and what type of products, information, and resources they can be connected to. So those are a few that might be more relevant to, you know, the average day-to-day person. And then all the others have some really cool stuff too. So check it out.
Yes, I've heard of Death Baby Palooza. I love what she's doing. Anything you want to say to somebody that right now that's, you know, all the people say who have that great big idea, that think about that next startup, you don't know where to go?
Yeah, love it. One, I'd love to talk to you. We do a ton of just kind of informational meetings all the time with founders who are interested in exploring an idea and provide feedback and connect to resources. We're really thankful to have relationships with pretty much all the other players in our tech ecosystem here in town, from accelerators to incubators to funders. So we'd love to help introduce where that makes sense. And two, probably like the number one piece of advice I share with people at the early stages as they're exploring something is try it out, talk to customers, build something, even if it's like a Google form survey, and start talking to people and getting feedback. And that's usually the biggest thing that if someone's got an interesting idea and they haven't done it, I'm like, hey, do this. So let's see if there's any demand for it. And then that can really pique our interest. So yeah, talk to customers, get feedback, and keep building.
Okay, and where can they reach you all at? Website?
Yeah, our website, you can learn about Bronze Valley at bronzevalley.com, and the accelerator links from the Bronze Valley website, and it also has a direct link at bronzevalleyaccelerator.com. And my email is haley@generator.com. You can find that on the accelerator website. The generator has the number 8 in it instead of an A, so it's a little confusing, but you should be able to find it on the website.
Okay, well, Haley, thank you for coming on there. I want to thank you all for all the great work you all are doing, helping people, you know, bring their dreams to reality, I like to say. That's what people, you know, when they start these great companies, they have an idea and just see it become reality. So I want to thank you all for your continuing work, you know, doing that, and definitely look forward. We'll probably have another future interview so you can tell me about some other great things you all got coming up in March, especially closer to the point when you all are looking for some more companies for the March session. So definitely, I'll bring you back again.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate it. And it is really, we are fortunate to get to be a part of it, because the work the entrepreneurs are doing is the really cool stuff, and we just get to get on board and support it. And yeah, our applications are open now for the March program. They close February 11th. So I'm happy to talk to anyone now about that program. So yeah, looking forward to chatting again soon.
Okay, well, thank you all for watching this video. Please check out what's happening in Birmingham.com for more interviews. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also check me out now on Apple Podcasts so you can get the audio version of my podcast. Thank y'all again, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.